G'day everyone. Welcome to the very final video in our Legal Ethics and Trust Accounting course. After 40-something videos across 12 weeks, we finally come to the end of this particular journey. Now, ordinarily, the final video for a subject is a very shallow recap of the material week by week. The idea is to bring it all together. I'm not going to do that in this video. This is an advanced level subject and you are advanced level students. Instead, in the final video for this course, I want to take a step back. I want to make sure that we're not losing sight of the forest because we're spending too much time looking at trees. I want you to think fundamentally about ethics. You see, the law, the rule of law, the system of justice, can be one of the most profound sources of good in our entire society. At their very best, laws provide the fundamental basis for our very civilization. The reason we have civilization is because we have laws and we agree, either explicitly or otherwise, to obey them. But the law doesn't have to be just. One of the most beautiful speeches I have ever read was given by Justice Michael Kirby on the anniversary of the Wolfenden Report, a British report which led to the decriminalisation of homosexuality in the United Kingdom. In his speech, Justice Kirby spoke about the experience of being a criminal law student and learning about the criminal offence of buggery, homosexual sex. He said, "Do any of them know?" I asked myself. I hope they cannot guess. I could not bear the shame. I should be very, very quiet, and then maybe no one will ever know. No one will ever guess. I will get through life alone and sexless, but I would rather die than be seen on the front page of the Mirror. These were the means by which the law became an instrument not of liberty but of oppression, not of equality but of discrimination, not of human happiness but of cruelty and unkindness. Think on those words. The law can be an instrument of liberty but also an instrument of oppression. The law can be an instrument of equality but also one of discrimination. The law can be an instrument of human happiness, but also of cruelty and unkindness. Ethical lawyers, lawyers who are not looking for every ethical loophole, but instead who are enthusiastically and diligently applying the ethical principles of our profession, those lawyers can help the law bend towards liberty, equality, and human happiness, and away from oppression, discrimination, cruelty and unkindness. Let's turn now to India on the 2nd of February 1922. Protesters following Mahatma Gandhi's non-cooperation movement were protesting in a market when they were beaten by police. 2 days later they protested again and police began shooting, first above their heads and later at the crowd. The crowd surged, and forgetting Gandhi's discipline of non-violence, they pelted police with rocks, forced the police into the station, and set it on fire. 22 police died. Gandhi, who was nowhere near this incident, was arrested and charged with inciting. He pleaded guilty, and in his statement before sentencing, he said, "In my opinion, non-cooperation with evil is as much a duty as is cooperation with good. I am here, therefore, to invite and submit cheerfully to the highest penalty that can be inflicted upon me for what in law is a deliberate crime, but what appears to me to be the highest duty of a citizen." He was convicted and sentenced to 6 years in prison. He served 2 years. But how powerful are those words? Non-cooperation with evil is as much a duty as is cooperation with good. A law on its own may be good and it may be bad and it may be neither. It is up to us who practice in the law to cooperate with what is good and refuse to cooperate with what is evil. Gandhi was telling us to rely on ethics, not on law. Do what is right. Cooperate with what is right. Do not do what you know to be wrong. Finally, for one last crucial look at the way in which ethics can lead to justice, consider the case of the Central Park Five. April 1989, Central Park, New York City. A jogger named Tricia Miley was brutally, violently, horribly raped by a man who then just walked out of the park. Not too far away in the park there was a group, mostly teenagers, mostly black or Latino, and the police immediately focused on them as perpetrators of the offences. They arrested Raymond Santana, aged 14, Kevin Richardson, aged 14, Antron McRae, aged 15, Yusef Salaam, aged 15, Corey Wise, aged 16. They were interviewed by police for hours on end. They were not provided with legal support. They were not provided with access to their parents at all times. They were not fed. They did not get rest. They were told that if they gave confessions, they could go home. They gave ridiculous confessions, including confessing to things that they couldn't possibly have known or done. The police had a chance to be ethical and stop this. The detective, Linda Fairstein, had a chance to be ethical and stop this. The prosecutor, Elizabeth Lederer, had a chance to be ethical and stop this. None of them did the right thing. Raymond Santana, Yusef Salaam and Antron McRae were in detention from 1989 until 1996. Kevin Richardson was in detention from 1989 until 1997. Corey Wise was sentenced as an adult and was in prison from 1989 until 2002, when the real rapist, who was in prison on other charges and who had become a born-again Christian, came forward and confessed. At the time of their sentencing, Donald Trump, then merely a TV celebrity and real estate heir, but later the most divisive and inept president in the history of the United States, took out a full-page advertisement calling for the Central Park Five to be put to death. He wanted to execute children who turned out to have been innocent. If all of this sounds too ridiculous to be true, take a look at the magnificent Kevin Burns documentary called The Central Park Five, or Ava DuVernay's equally magnificent dramatisation called When They See Us, and be prepared to be furious. Lawyers with ethics and lawyers with the courage to give effect to their ethics can be the difference between merely having law and actually having justice. We are now at the end of this course. I wish you well in your examinations, but even more, I wish for you that you can go into practice where sometimes you will do well and sometimes you will do poorly, sometimes you will win, sometimes you will not, but where you may always practice as a lawyer of good ethics. All the very best.